Howard is a great Western tender engine who liked working with his two friends Carla and Gart. But one morning Howard was feeling ill, and the workmen can't do anything to make him better. Miss Edwards was there too.
You must go to the repair yard immediately to be mended, Howard. Both Carla and Gart will do your work until you get back.
Both engines felt sorry for their friend as he was taken away to the repair yard by another engine. Right now, the two engines set off to do Howard's work as well as their own. Carla pulls passengers, and Gart pulls a small goods train. Sometimes, they were at a Cassandra yard to shun freight cars. When they both finished their work, they were resting in the sheds, feeling exhausted. Boy, this hard work does makes my wheels ache. Won't you agree with it, Clara?
Yes, Garth. I've worked hard when I pull passengers for Howard, but my wheels are about to be sore if I keep going all day long.
And soon Howard will be back from being mended, and we'll both be back to our jobs.
Don't worry, Garth. I'm sure we'll be back to our original jobs as soon as Howard gets home. You wait and see.
If you say so, Carla. 1 week later, Howard returned to the sheds, and he was looking much cheerful. Both Carla and Gart were happy to see him.
Hello, you two. It's great to be better. Don't I look fine?
Why, yes, you are, Howard.
We are glad you came home, Howard.
Thanks, you two. I'm just glad to be back at work now that I've recovered from my illness.
That's good, Howard.
At harvest time, the air is filled with the smell of fresh fruit and vegetables. The engines on the Fox Field Railway were happily delivering their loads to market. But one day, mist and rain swirled down Carla's branch line. Gart was delivering a load of fresh tomatoes. Suddenly, he felt a big bump. Bust my buffers! What was that? The conductor put out the warning flags while Gart's driver inspected the tracks. The earth is crumbling. We must tell Miss Edwards. Gart puffed back as fast as he could. Meanwhile, at Dawlish Station, Miss Edwards had an important job for Carla.
Carla, you're to collect the prize bull. He's at the farm on your branch line.
Yes, Miss Edwards, right away.
As soon as Carla puffed away, Gart steamed quickly in. Miss Edwards! Miss Edwards! I've got important news to tell you!
What is it, Gart?
The tracks on Carla's branch line are wobbly. I felt a big bump earlier, so I decided to call help in case for emergencies.
Right. I'll see to it at once. Thank you for telling me this, Gart, but I need to tell Carla about this.
But it was already too late. Carla was carefully chuffing through the rain. Soon, she had collected a farmer's bowl and was on her way back. The rain had made the tracks more wobbly than ever. Suddenly, there was a deep rumbling sound. Carla's driver applied the brakes, but it was too late.
Bust my buffers! We're stuck!
And they were. Late that night at the sheds, Gart and Howard were waiting for Carla, and they were both worried. Carla should be back by now. Don't you think she's been taking her passengers, Howard?
I don't know, Gart. I don't think Carla is pulling passengers. Miss Edwards will find out what happened to her.
And that's what I was going to do today, Howard. Now, as you both may know, the tracks on Carla's branch line are wobbly, and Carla's driver called me that they're both stuck in the earth bank with the farmer's bull. So you must go rescue them, Gart.
Right away, Miss Edwards.
Be careful out there when you get a chance, Gart. You don't want to end up being stuck in the bank like Carla was.
Don't worry, Howard. I'll be careful as soon as I bring Carla home. Gart was soon on his way. At first, he was nervous as he pressed on the creak and wobbled tracks, but the lamp shone brightly in the dark. At last, as he came around a bend, Carla saw him coming in the distance.
Gart! Thank goodness you're here.
I'll have you out of there in no time, Carla. Gart's driver fastened a strong coupling between Gart and Carla. And Gart puffed and pulled. He pulled and puffed. And finally, Carla and her driver were free.
Oh, thank you very much, Gart.
You're welcome, Carla. Now let's get you and the farmer's bull home. Miss Edwards was waiting at the sheds. It was dawn before the tracks were clear. Then Gart and Carla made their way back home. Miss Edwards was waiting there with Howard. Carla is here, Miss Edwards. She's safe now.
Well done, Gart. You saved the day.
Now then, Carla, about what happened earlier. I should have warned you about the wobbly tracks on your branch line, and I would like to thank Gart for alarming everyone for emergencies. You'll be soon cleaned up in no time.
Yes, Miss Edwards, and thank you for helping me too. And Gart, I didn't know the tracks are wobbly on my branch line, and I hope next time I would have been told not to go on dangerous tracks.
That's okay, Carla. It happens on the tracks sometimes. And Gart was pleased that he had saved the day. Howard is one of the oldest engines working on Miss Edwards Railway. Even he's always careful when he was pulling trains or he was shunting freight cars. Everyone knows that Howard does his best to be a really useful engine, and pleased to Miss Edwards. But one day, the weather was unusually hot, and Howard didn't feel well. Steam leaked from his cylinder, and he found it hard to breathe. The coaches felt hot and bothered from the heat too. Soon they reached the station at the end of the line, and Howard's fireman uncoupled from the train, and the driver parked Howard on a siding. Well, that's torn it. All the efforts we've put into this hot weather, and we've used up all the water. Luckily, there was a water tower nearby, so Howard's driver filled up the tank with water. While Howard was having a well-deserved drink, the big diesel rode into the station and buffered up to the coaches. Poor old engine, you finally ran out of puff. When your controller realizes this, she will cut you up for scrap and replace you with modern and reliable engines like me.
Rubbish! I'm still a really useful engine and Miss Edwards knows that.
Keep telling yourself that. Now, if you excuse me, I'm taking your passengers away from you. Goodbye, old-timer. Howard was cross with the diesel at first, but he felt that he was feeling miserable about what the diesel said. And that night, he spoke to Miss Edwards about it.
I'm aware of the situations, Howard. Don't worry, I'll deal with the diesel, named Maurice, later. Tomorrow, you'll stay in the yards and away from him.
Yes, Miss Edwards.
The next day, Howard was shunting in the Cassandra yard. He enjoyed shunting freight cars around.
I'd like some quiet work for a change.
But just then, Maurice rumbled in. Hello, old-timer. Miss Edwards has sent me to let you know that it's obvious a timeout steamer like you can't do it alone in this yard. And to prove his point, Maurice shunted a line of cars. Howard sighed heavily and returned to his work. All day, Maurice treated the freight cars roughly, and Howard was beginning to lose patience with him.
Those cars will get back at you for bumping them too hard.
Nonsense. You need to show them who's boss. Later that day, the yard manager came to see Howard and Maurice. Carla has broken down and she can't pull the heavy goods by herself, so I need you both to double heat the train to the Irish Harbor Yard. Actually, sir, I could do it by myself. Howard here isn't in his current state. Howard just rolled his eyes. The yard manager agreed with Maurice's idea, and Maurice buffered up to the train. Now I'll show you that all up-to-date diesels know how to pull cars. Howard said nothing. He just watched as Maurice strained out of the yard. Soon, the yard manager returned. Maurice has broken down on the hill. Will you be able to push him to the next station, Howard?
I'll try, sir.
And, with a cheerful whistle, Howard puffed out of the yard. Meanwhile, Maurice's driver was scolding furiously. We wouldn't be in this mess if you weren't so keen to show off. Maurice said nothing. He just sulked. Just then, Howard arrived and buffered up to the train. And with all his might, he pushed the heavy goods and Maurice up the hill. Soon, they reached the top and coasted down the other side all the way to Irish Harbor Yard. When they arrived, it was only a few minutes late. Howard then took Maurice to the repair yard to be mended.
Well, Maurice, it looks like I'm not on a puff or an old-timer anymore.
Maurice didn't say anything. He is still sulking. While he was being repaired, Miss Edwards came to see him. She was very cross.
You've said mean things to Howard. He proves today that he's reliable and very helpful. He may be old, but he's really useful. As punishment, you will stay in the sheds for a week until you can learn to respect all my engines on this railway, especially Howard.
Maurice was ashamed. 1 week later, after he was repaired, he was on a siding next to the station platform, just as Howard arrived. He had returned from the repair yard too for having his cylinders mended. Then he saw Maurice.
Oh, hello there, Maurice. What are you doing here?
Hello, Howard. I just came to apologize for the way I treated you.
You have?
Yes. I'm sorry I called you old-timer. I was rude yesterday because I thought modern diesels like me can be as better as the steam engines on the railway. But now I'm not. And thank you for helping me with the train.
Oh, that's okay, Maurice. I accept your apology. It's good to know you've changed your ways now. And now you know too that I'm not an old-timer because my cylinders were leaking.
Yeah. I guess after I broke down, I kinda got what I deserve.
Yeah, I know. Oh, that's my conductor. I must go now. Sorry I can't stop, Maurice. I got passengers to take. See you later at the sheds and nice meeting you.
See you later, Howard. And nice meeting you too. It was a lovely day on the Foxfield Railway, and Carla was at a station called Euston Station on her branch line. Her two coaches, Gina and Tara, were collecting passengers. Gina can only take passengers, but Tara can take passengers, baggage, and the conductor. Carla was waiting for a signal to change, but the signal didn't change. Carla was worried.
What's going on with the signal? I'm going to be late, and my passengers will be angry.
Then, the Cinnamon walked up to Carla and her crew. I'm sorry for keeping you wait, but apparently the signal is broken, and I can't do anything to get it working.
Oh dear. Well, since the signal is broken, what are we supposed to do when we have passengers to take?
You just have to wait until the workmen will come and fix it. It's dangerous for engines to pass red signals, or even broken signals.
So, I guess that means it'll take longer to get it mended.
Yeah, it's going to be a great day for us, but now it's not.
Don't worry, you two. It may take a while for the signal to be fixed, but it'll take longer to get it done.
And Carla and her coaches stay at the station. They waited as soon as the workmen came to repair the broken signal. Carla knew this might take a while for them to start working on it, but it wasn't long until the signal is finally fixed. The signal soon changed into green, and Carla started off. She knew she was very late. When she arrived, the passengers got out crossly, and Carla's driver told the station master what had happened. "It's alright. I've heard about the broken signal. The storm must have caused it, so that's why the signal is broken and it needs repairs. I'm glad you got the passenger safely."
Thank you, sir. I didn't know the storm had damaged the signal on the branch line that I run on.
The engines on the Foxfield Railway were very busy. But sometimes there is too much work to do, and Miss Edwards was sending another engine to help out. Unfortunately for the three engines Carla, Gart, and Howard, Maurice the Diesel can't do all the work by himself, and it was getting too much for him to handle it. "Sorry, you three. This work is about to get way out of hand right now. I can't do all this work on my own, and I feel like my engine is breaking down a little."
It must be diesel fuel that caused the problem, or something, Maurice.
"Maybe, but it's just that it sputters so much and I can't go anywhere if I did start working again. Even worse, my wheels are aching." "Tell me about it. I need a rest for a while until Miss Edwards says we do need another engine here to help us."
If that's the case, you three, I'll go and see if there's another engine around on this railway who's not busy right now while taking these cars to the scrapyard.
"That's a good idea, Howard. But be careful out there. The scrapyard is where I used to work at Colin, and there were the diesels I used to work with too."
I didn't know you used to work with those diesels, Maurice.
I don't know either, but don't worry, Maurice, I'll be careful.
With that, Howard chuffed on his way to the scrapyard. It was nighttime as he arrived to drop his train off on the siding where the diesels rested. As Howard was preparing to leave for home, he noticed an unknown engine sitting on another siding.
Excuse me, are you the only engine who's been stuck here?
Yes, I am.
Well, you're going to be coming home with me, because I'm getting you out of here.
Oh, thank you. Howard was soon coupled up to the engine, and then he started off, tender first. Soon the Foxfield Railway was halfway there. It was morning when they arrived back in the yards. Finally, we're here.
We're home free, but not yet. I'll shunt you into that shed so you can be safe.
An engine was pleased. He was soon shunted into the shed by Howard, and Howard puffed back to the sheds. When he arrived, Carl, Maurice, and Gart were already awake and they were waiting for him.
Howard. Where were you last night?
Oh, just got back into the room I trained to the scrapyard.
Well, how was it?
Oh, nothing. The scrapyards may be scary, but when I got there, it was quiet last night, and I found an engine sitting on another siding. He's been stuck in the scrapyard, so I thought I could bring him here to stay safe. Now I would like to speak to Miss Edwards about this.
Well, I'm here, Howard, and speak to me about what?
Pardon me, Miss Edwards, but we do need another engine here.
Yes, Miss Edwards, another engine to help us.
You're right, Carla. We still need another engine to help out in our yard, but that is why one has been saved from scrap. It's kinda little hope.
But Miss Edwards, one has made its way to the yards.
Indeed, you're right, Howard. Thanks to you, an engine is now repaired and be looked as good as new. His name is Simon. He's just what we need for shunting duties on the Cassandra yards.
Everyone cheered with whistles and horns. By now, Simon was repaired and was given a new coat of paint. He was ready to start work. His job is to be the station pilot, and he works hard to keep all the trains right on time. The engines were very grateful that Simon helps out with the extra work. Simon also knew that if it weren't for Howard, he wouldn't be on the Foxfield Railway. One wintry day on the Foxfield Railway, Carl was busy pulling the mail train. Up ahead, she saw something strange. She stopped to look at it. It looked like a face in the snow.
It must be a snow ghost.
Carla was afraid, and she raced away. Carla went back to the sheds as fast as she could. She wanted to tell the other engines what she had saw.
There's a snow ghost up on the branch lines. I saw it has a face on it.
What are you talking about, Carla? There's no such things as ghosts. Well, it must be snow ghosts everywhere then. I was up there too, where I was delivering freight cars of coal to all the stations. It has eyes, nose, mouths, and it was covered in snow.
I'd never heard of a snow goose before. It's probably your imaginations, you two. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to pull my next train.
As Howard puffed away, the wind began to blow. It blew and blew, even blew the drifts of snow away from the strange face. When Howard passed by, he noticed something up ahead close to the line, as if it was nothing but a smiley face.
Well, I'll be. That's the snowman. Carla and Gart thought it was a snow ghost earlier, but perhaps they didn't know it was the snowman under there. I must show them this.
Later, Howard set out with Carla, Gart, and Simon. They were off to the place where Howard showed them that he found the snowman snow under earlier. And when they got there, the 3 tank engines were surprised. Wow! That's not a snow ghost, that's a snowman! It must have been covered in snow. Carla felt a little embarrassed, but she knew she only thought it was a snow ghost before, and it turns out to be a snowman.
I guess there's no snow ghosts then. Sorry about that, Howard.
That's alright, Carla. You didn't know it was a snowman buried under there.
Yeah, and I'm glad that it was there. On second thought, the snowman must be someone else's where it's been sitting there for so long.